Hey folks, it's Dina Packwa here, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about Aquarius season and all the Aquarian energies that we're in right now, and the movement of Neptune out of Pisces and into Aries, especially on the heels of the most recent murder by federal agents of Alex Preddy, the ICU nurse, right on the heels of Renee Good and Keith Porter and all the people being detained and abducted, and little kids being taken in cute hats and being put in zip ties, and all of these things that are really anti-humanitarian. And Aquarius is the quintessential humanitarian. So it's really against all of the energies that are at play right now. But, what is really going on is that all of this is coming even more to the surface. Now, I've seen and I've said even myself, correlating these times to 1930s and 1940s Germany, where in fact, really, this goes back to our nation's history. And I mean, even before that, really, the beginnings of humanity, we have mistreated each other, tried to have power over each other instead of working together and trying to help each other on a mass scale. But this Aquarian energy that's happening, so we have the sun in Aquarius, we have a lot of planets in Aquarius right now. I have an Aquarius stellium in my first house, so I very much identify with the energies of Aquarius. So just to kind of give you an overview, Aquarius is the revolutionary, the nonconformist, the visionary, the futurist, and also the humanitarian. Aquarians are very, very compassionate, but it's a detached compassion. So we have an easier time with boundaries. Now, I also have a grand water trine, so I struggle with boundaries and being an empath, but thankfully, for the Aquarius energies definitely help. But we can all learn to work with all of the various cosmic and elemental energies if we put the energy into it, literally. So anyway, back at the end of 2020, we had the grand conjunction. I believe it was Saturn and Jupiter moving into the sign of Aquarius. And this was the first time in many years that this had happened. So it was like igniting a spark. And Saturn is about structures and hierarchies and integrity. So we're just at the end of 2020. Jupiter tends to expand things. Now, I am not an astrologer, so I apologize. I don't want to offend anybody. And there are plenty of astrologers to listen to, but I'm just coming from the place of being an Aquarius myself and feeling all of these energies play out now on a personal level and then on a, national and global level. So I'm just sharing my perspective, and also as somebody who's attuned to emotions and energies as an energy healer and a shamanic practitioner. So anywho, so we have so we had that grand conjunction the end of 2020, and then Pluto, the outermost planet. So the outermost planets tend to affect the collective on a more mass scale. Okay. So we have Neptune that just moved out of Pisces and into Aries, another outer planet. So these things are affecting the collective. So we're seeing these things play out. And I'm hoping by me highlighting the Aquarian energies that it's going to ignite for us to have more hope, because Aquarius is the sign of hope and optimism for the future. And I think, we could all use that right now on the heels of everything that's been happening. Okay. So we have all of these planets in Aquarius right now, and we have the change from Neptune and Pisces. So Neptune is at home in Pisces. That's its home sign. And so we had a lot of like interest and exploration in spirituality and in the spirit world, and that will continue just in a different way. People looking to grow their intuition, their intuitive abilities, but it also created a lot of fogginess and a lack of clarity, because Neptune in Pisces is very cosmic and otherworldly and not very grounded at all. And it created the stage for misinformation and illusion and delusion to take over. Okay, so we've seen this play out through the media, through entertainment, and through various outlets. And these behind the scenes leaders definitely knew what they were doing, and people were very vulnerable to misinformation and to illusion and delusion. Okay, so now we have Neptune moving out of Pisces and into Aries, right? The first sign of the zodiac, it's the warrior, it's sacred action. The last time it was in Aries was in the Civil War, so that is definitely concerning. And I think a lot of us have been unnerved by what we're seeing in terms of, more potential wars than what is already going on. So the good news is, though, Saturn is going to be moving into Aries along with Neptune. And Saturn is the constrictor, the constrainer, the structure, cares about integrity. Um, it's aligned with Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn rising in addition to all my Aquarius, so it often feels like a battle within myself, but I very much align with its focus on listening to traditions and indigenous elders and structure and safe boundaries and all of that. So I'm optimistic because of that. All right. So Aquarius, again, is the visionary, so it can help us think about by acknowledging what is currently going on. We can't plan for the future or envision what we want for the future without acknowledging what is. All right, that spiritual bypassy stuff needs to go right out the window. Okay, that comes from privilege and it comes from illusion and delusion. All right, nothing wrong with focusing on the positive, but first we need to acknowledge what is. All right, either within ourselves or what we're seeing going on. And also use that energy to help build something better for the future and work together in community. Aquarius is a very social sign and needs to connect with community. Okay. Aquarius also rules technology. So we've seen huge changes in technology with all the stuff going on with AI and crypto, right? I am not experts on either of these things. What I would say is that anything that is going to detrimentally suck more resources out of nature and the earth on such a mass scale as these two things, AI and crypto, we need to be very mindful of that because that is not going to go well for us. We have people in power who are completely ignoring the fact that we have very strong climate issues going on. Okay. We are being called to go back to a sacred relationship with the earth. So we need to find ways to utilize these technologies in a sustainable manner. I know they're not going anywhere. I actually just found recently Green GPT. So I would check that out. I'll put something below the video so you can find that. So Green GPT. Um, It got very good reviews in terms of being environmentally conscious, more so than like even ChatGPT, which I do like using myself, but I'm going to move away from it because of the amount of electricity that it uses 10 times more. You do a search in ChatGPT, it uses 10 times more electricity than just a Google search. Okay, just so you know what that looks like. So we don't need to be stripping more from the environment than we already are. We're going in the wrong direction that way. So we need to reel that in. Even with all of the unrest and the violence against our citizens and immigrants who are trying to make a good life here through this federal government and the restrictions on our freedoms, which is very anti-Aquarian. If you are living in a place that does not have equal rights for women, there's no freedom. There's no freedom. So press and media being constricted even more and influenced even more. That's definitely not Aquarius. Aquarius wants freedom of expression. Aquarius wants discernment. Aquarius is a very intellectual sign and will look at things from multiple points of view. Okay. So now, right now in this moment, I would personally vote blue no matter who, for the most part. That doesn't mean I won't change my mind in the future. Okay. I believe that there is room for all different perspectives, conservative, liberal, left, right, center, independent, the Green Party, if they could get their acts together. We need each other and we need all these different perspectives. Like, I'm not a big fan of us spending this money on all of these foreign wars. And then our citizens, we can't take care of our own veterans, and we have so many unhoused homeless people. This is not okay. We have people that cannot afford health insurance. We have a president who's willing to build a ballroom but not put money into our healthcare system. This is not okay. This is not of the future. This is of the patriarchy, of the hierarchy, of the elitism, of the classism, of the racism, of the misogyny. This is not Aquarian energy. Pluto moved into Aquarius just within the last year officially, and it's the outermost planet. It's the planet affecting the collective the most. It is the one that is digging up all of this anti-humanitarian, anti-we the people issues that have been going on for a long time. It's making it visible in such a way that we can no longer ignore it. When we make those comparisons between, our culture and say 1930s Germany, we're also not looking at our own past because it's really the foundation of this country built on slavery, genocide, and war, that we are reliving these karmic patterns, okay? But what also is different about these times versus, say, 1930s Germany, we have the internet. We have individual people with phones and video, okay? Nothing can be hidden anymore, all right? This is a good thing. We need to expose all of this corruption. And yes, you can say both parties, okay? When we are serving corporations and oligarchs at the expense of the health and well-being of the people, of our earth, of the environment, we have people who are so concerned about individual chemicals, which I am too, and certain schedules of inoculations, which should be looked at, no problem there. But cherry picking these individual items at the expense of human life and human rights, not okay. That's not the route that we need to be going. The foundation of public health is human rights and equal rights to have health care, clean environment, social and environmental justice, foundation of public health. Okay. That's the Aquarian perspective on that. So we're seeing all of this dysfunction get exposed. And I think that Neptune moving into Aries is going to push that forward even more. It's going to clear up a lot of the illusion and delusion and the misinformation. And people, just like what we're seeing with the events of this past weekend, is like people see the truth. People see the truth. And we do have people hooked into, um, you know, manipulated systems. And, some may always be stuck there, but it really is the minority. It really is the minority. We see, Republican finally, uh, like the governor of Vermont speaking out. We have, different individuals from different backgrounds speaking out, law enforcement officers. We have groups of people in Minnesota and Minneapolis banding together, even after these horrors. More and more people speaking out, more and more people working together. So what we need to do is find our communities, strengthen our communities. Everybody can't do everything. Pick one or two things that are the most important to you. For me, it is human rights and it's our environment, because I feel like without those foundations, we don't have anything. And I support both of those every month in various ways. I have it on my website. You can see who I support, and we can each contribute to the greater good. Okay, so that's that Aquarian theme, Pluto and Aquarius. Okay, and then we have this shift from the year of the wood snake into the fire horse, which is coming up, or, mid-February. So it's going to be another big change where we go from cleansing and clearing the past. So this, past year with the shifts in the White House, we are seeing like literally the worst of the worst qualities of the United States playing out in the most repulsive reality TV format imaginable, right? And in all fairness, we are seeing the weakness of the Democratic Party and their lack of leadership and what the hell are they doing? And the Republicans aligning themselves and now starting to separate from our president. So good things are happening, even though it's very, very horrific on the other side of this. This is the reckoning of our nation's karma. This is what is playing out. The intentions for our country were about freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of self-expression, the ability to pursue your soul's purpose and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. It never has been that. It never has been that, except for a select few. But that has always been the dream and why people come here from all over the world. So we can work with these Aquarian energies, thinking about the greater good. Everything we do now, thinking about the impact that it has on others. That was really the lesson and the message of COVID, was each thing that we did, each time we went out, whether or not we wore a mask, whether or not we considered others' health and well-being in addition to our own, it's about the greater good. And this is what we're seeing right now. So I'm optimistic. We are starting to come together. The illusions are already falling away and cracking. We're going to have more clarity, and I believe we will know what to do. We each will have something different to do, but we will know what to do. Thanks so much for watching and listening.